Alright, so today is April 26th, 2024, and this is part 3 of my video game therapy series. So last night, before I went to bed, I remembered actually two more people, family friends who passed away. One of them was named Russell, and the other was his brother. But it's been a while, so I forgot what his name was. Um, I think they might have been twins because they looked a lot alike. But Russell passed away of a heart attack. He may have even been one of the first friends we had die because I think he passed away before we moved out of the place we were living at the time. So I don't really remember too much about that. Let's see, hang on. Like I said, it can be kind of hard to concentrate on the game while talking at the same time, but I'll do my best here. So, let's see. Alright. So, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of the more unfortunate, well, actually, two of the most unfortunate incidents that happened during my formative years. Um, there were a couple of friends that my older siblings knew between middle and high school, and what happened with them was surprisingly enough when we were playing video games in my brother's room, and and on two separate occasions at the hands of two separate people, I ended up being molested, and uh, and uh, it's kind of weird to talk about now because my circumstances really weren't as severe as a lot of other people's, because there are people out there who have been molested and raped and sexually abused multiple times by the same person over an extended period of years. So I was fortunate that it only happened twice at the hands of two different people, and um, after I spoke up about it, they were punished, and they were never allowed within a certain distance of me ever again. So I never had to deal with them again after that. And you know, so I was fortunate in that regard, though I do think it did have somewhat of a negative effect on me later down the line, and that was also at two separate points for two separate reasons. Because in my teens, I developed habits that were consistent with pornography addiction, and and later on as an adult, I later on as an adult, it left and it didn't hit me until I was an adult of what the full emotional impact was like, because that was the point that I realized, oh wow, these were people I spent significant amounts of time with, and people I knew on a personal level, and they ended up doing that, and it was just it hurt. It hurt that it felt like they didn't actually care about me and only wanted to use me for their own sick fantasies. It was a it was a pretty emotionally devastating blow. So, and I've had some ups and downs throughout my life, but that had to be among the worst of it. So, but like I said, they were dealt with, and I never had to deal with them again. It was just a unfortunate period of my life, and I'm talking about it now because I'm hoping to put it behind me and try to move on with it. Try to move on with my life. So, I guess with that out of the way, we'll continue on with the game at this point because I don't, I can't really think of too much I have to say other than talking about some political stuff, which I'll get to here in a moment. But I'm going to be naming Tifa's character after Brandon and Maria's mother in my story Dragon of Grace. Maria and her had a falling out at some point actually, but like before the story started. But towards the end of the first act, they actually reconcile, and that's when most of the group starts coming together, and there's a few more additions after that, and then after that is when we get to the actual core of the story and like the monsters, which are called the Insidious and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna be naming Tifa after Sarah, and yeah, okay, select. Okay, we're gonna give the flower to Marlene. I did manage to be cognitively aware enough to purchase the flower from Eris or Aerith, however you want to say it. So I'm gonna give it to Marlene because we gotta be nice to the kids. Yeah. I will say though that two good things, well, relatively good things came out of my personal experience with all that. Um, First was that I beat the statistics because I never went on to offend the same way that, if I'm recalling correctly, the statistics said I would. Um, because if I'm recalling this right, there are some studies that suggest people who have been through that sort of thing are at risk of becoming offenders themselves. And that was actually what happened to one of the people who molested me. They had been through similar they had been through similar circumstances before that, much worse than what they did to me. Um, so I beat the odds and I beat the statistics there, and also it inspired some of my more creative works down the line. I actually have a couple characters who are a married couple, and one of them is one of them is actually an angel uh, one of them is actually an angel who pretty much waited for the universe to reset itself, so that way she could actually undo her husband's trauma and rebuild him into the person that she always believed he could be. Um, and funny enough, that story idea was actually inspired by a movie from 2009 called The Time Traveler's Wife. I actually saw previews of that when my sister was working at Video Warehouse. Uh, we used to have a video store called Video Warehouse out here, and she used to work there. And whenever we would go and rent videos from there, we would see previews and stuff on the TVs that were there. So yeah, I mean, out of that really shitty circumstance that I had to go through, um, I mean, at least I feel like I found something to be proud of through that. You know, the cycle stopped with me, and and I was able to create something interesting out of it. So alright, I don't really need to worry about the materia tutorial here because I've already played this several times. Alright. My leg is itchy for some reason. Okay, so we want to buy. Let's see, we want to buy an antidote, purchase a fire materia, and there. Okay, now we gotta go up here to the second floor of the weapons store area, and stop. It can be kind of hard to control at 3 times speed. Okay, so we got an all materia, and this is a tutorial room where you can pretty much just like learn how to use more advanced materia combinations and stuff like that. Okay, there's this. I think that's a fake save point. I don't think you can actually use that. Hang on. Oh, never mind. I'll be able to record a bit of a longer segment today, so we won't have to stop right here at this save point. But as I was mentioning before, so now we can get a bit more into the political stuff. I first started really getting into politics around 2014, and that was actually through a channel called Alpha Omega Sin, and he was like this long-haired rocker metalhead dude who liked video games, and I was also getting into a lot of rock music and metal at the time, so I really liked going around to his channel and seeing what kind of crazy stuff he got up to, because there was like some old videos where he destroyed a Dreamcast that didn't work anymore, and like he wailed on a PS2 and 2 copies of Superman 64. It was hilarious just to see him like wreck all this stuff, like just demolish it. So let's see, but it started with like videos that he posted about for example, one of the school districts near his area that actually charged a disabled student with wiretapping because he had a recording done to prove that he was being bullied in school. And the teachers weren't doing anything about it. So, he took the recording to his mom, and his mom took the recording to the principal, and the principal thought it was a good idea to have the kid charged with wiretapping, despite the fact that the the iPad or whatever it was that he used to do the recording was school issued. It was something that he was given by the school. So that was like really one of the first examples I remember of like corruption in the judicial system, and then after that, I remember. Let's see, after that there was that pastor guy who was arrested in Fort Lauderdale, who was being arrested for feeding the homeless. Like his church would do this stuff sometimes where they would feed the homeless, and try to do things that were actually consistent with Christian values. And and the police decided to handcuff this man who was 90 years old and throw him in the slammer. And like, I don't know about you guys, but to me that just seems like infuriating because this guy's actually out there trying to do good in the world, and they have him arrested for feeding people. That's ridiculous to me. Okay, got the high potion. So yeah, I mean, I always thought it was common sense, like, to treat people well. I thought it was common sense to make sure people had the bare necessities. But uh, yeah, especially nowadays, it seems like there's just this every man for himself mentality that's prevalent throughout society, and it's like, I mean, I don't even think the barbarians did stuff that stupid. Like, they all hunted together. They all got their food and resources together, with some methods obviously being less preferable than others, but at least they were able to function as a unit. Like, that's something we can't even do in modern society anymore. So yeah, I mean, so I guess if I had to put myself anywhere on the political spectrum, it would be left leaning and progressive. So okay, go down. Got the ether. So after this reactor area, we are we are going to be getting Eris or Arif. There was like some sort of mistranslation there between the Japanese and North American release. So we're going to be getting her, and I'm going to be naming her after the deuteragonist Emily, because Emily was actually the first one who discovered the power in the story that I was talking about before. I kind of wanted to subvert expectations a bit by not having the main character be the first one to learn this ability, um, because I thought it would be interesting to show from a different vantage point, like, how this whole thing emerged. So, okay. Anyway, so, I mean, basically, I've told you guys almost everything about me at this point. So, I mean, aside from that, all I really have to say is, like, I did have a bit of a hard time picking up on things as quickly as other kids in my class when I was a kid. Um, I kind of struggled to keep up. So I don't know if I ever had a learning disability or anything, but I mean, I got through it. You know, school can be tough too, so it was what it was. Up until fourth grade, really, I mean, I was doing all right. It was like fifth grade and onward when like signs of me struggling were really starting to show up. So I really had to I really had to buckle down and do the best I could there. It wasn't easy, but I managed. Got that on the first try on turbo speed. I think it was pretty impressive. All right, it's about time for a boss fight here. We're gonna be fighting Robo Buster. Yeah, this boss actually like reacts to your attacks. So yeah, so pretty much every time you attack it, it'll attack back. It's got like a counter attack ability. As far as this game is concerned, one of the things that I really like about it is that they have a decent number of ways for you to earn abilities, money, and experience. Like you can power up ridiculously fast in this game once you get to a certain point. There's actually an alarm trick you can use in the city of Junon. After you get the buggy from the Golden Saucer and Coral Prison, which is underneath that, you can actually go back to Junon and summon a bunch of monsters from Disc 2 and grind up on those. I actually almost got to level 99 there once, and I had a bunch of money and stuff by the end, so I was really happy about that. So we meet again. Yeah, I remember you. You were selling flowers. I don't mind. You know, it's kind of weird actually that people say Cloud is like an emo protagonist. Like, I mean, yeah, he's kind of bummed out for a little bit uh, later on in disc two, but I mean, it's not like it prevents him from taking down Sephiroth at the end of the game. So I mean, I imagine if anybody had been through the kind of stuff that he had, they'd be pretty bummed out too. I mean, it's just natural to feel kind of down in the dumps after someone you like got killed by an evil villain, and and your hometown got destroyed, or I don't know. There's some plot holes in this game, admittedly, but some parts of it are consistent, some aren't. It's just weird like that. It's that old RPG writing. What do you expect? Okay, so we are going to, like I said, we're going to be naming Aerith after Emily. So, select. Okay, now we get the Shinra guy, Reno, I believe his name is. Alright, we'll get back to Aerith's, well, Emily's house, and, yeah. Now, you guys can't tell me this is not a reference to the original Donkey Kong game on Nintendo. Because I mean you're throwing barrels at people. How is that not a Donkey Kong reference? I think that's hilarious that they put this in here. Okay, got him. Yeah, so you only need to use three of these four barrels to get rid of all the Shinra soldiers here. And thankfully, with the code, I don't have to worry about random encounters for now. Alright, so we can go ahead and equip the Titan Bangle, and we can also start reorganizing our inventory a little bit. See, arrange, customize. Yeah. Yep. I have this bad habit of waiting until I collect way too many items to try to organize my inventory, so I need to try to get a bit better about that on this run. There's a save point. Somehow I'm still at level 7. I only gained one level during this whole almost hour. Let's see. We want to go to this house real quick, actually, talk to these people. And we want to find the Turtle Paradise news flyers. Because if we find all 6 of those before we get to... Okay, we want to leave the 5 gil in the drawer. But if we find all the Turtles Paradise flyers, it's actually part of a side quest, and we'll get some special items if we find all 6. So, and here's the infamous "this guy are sick" line, but they actually fixed it in this version. Okay, that's where we hear about Wall Market. Here's some shops. Let's see. All they got is basic stuff right now. Okay, what you got? Yeah, just basic stuff. We're about to get the cover materia and something else. Ether cover. Alright. Now we'll save, and I'll end this part here. Uh, so, because this has already gone on for a little bit, so I'll go ahead and save. I got a triple save because I'm paranoid about not saving. Anyway, so that's it for this part for now, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.